Good afternoon, President Yeager and members of the board. The proposal being recommended by the county executive and the department is a reduction of approximately $102,000, and it will have no impact on services, so I'm not going to go into any great detail on that unless you have additional questions. However, next month you will be receiving a full report on the department, but I wanted to highlight a couple of points today about what our department does, and including some of the successes of our department. One of the ways we measure success in pretrial services is, are we recommending to the court that the right people be released from jail? Meaning is, we take public safety into consideration, as well as, are these defendants going to show up for court? A second way we measure our success is, are we making an impact in reducing the jail population? So to answer the first question, are the right people being released? According to the latest federal figures, the national average for failing to appear while out on pretrial release is about 26%. In Santa Clara County, people released on straight OR have a failure to appear rate of about 5%, and people released on supervised OR have a failure to appear rate of approximately 12%. So we are far below the national average as far as failing to appear for court. As far as public safety, we measure that by, are the people we're recommending for release, are they getting rearrested for new offenses while they're out of custody going to court? Because and our rearrest rate for our people released on straight OR is less than 1%, and our rearrest rate on for people released on supervised OR is about 5%. So people released through our program are showing up, and they're not committing new crime. The answer to number two, are we making an impact on the jail population? On any given day, there's approximately 1,000 people out of custody, out of jail, through our program, and there's currently the jail population is currently about 4,000 people. So an additional 1,000 inmates in the jail would have a significant impact on the jail population in overcrowding. And there's a lot of concern lately about what the state's going to do with the state prisoners and the issue of how they have to reduce the state prison population. So it's important for local jails to maintain some flexibility with their jail beds that they have available to them. About 80% of our releases on supervised OR, they're released from medium and high security housing facilities, or through the hospital or the infirmary or protective custody areas or the mental health areas. So these are all high cost beds. So the impact to the jail is not just in the number of releases, but in where those inmates would otherwise be housed, which is the high cost beds. So while the department does not generate much revenue, our benefit is primarily in cost avoidance to the jail population. Defendants released through our program have a strong likelihood to appear for court and pose little public safety risk, while also reducing the jail population of inmates who fill our more expensive jail beds. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Niss?
I think that's the left one.
Is that left one? Supervisor Shirakawa?
Is there any speakers?
No, we don't have any speakers.
I'd say good afternoon. As you said, referral, I think we made in the past will come back, Jeff, on June 3rd through PS and J. And this is a good start for sure, but I think it's a little minimal. But I wanted to just prepare us for June 3rd, if I could ask a few questions. And Ed Flores, you might want to come up just briefly, Ed, because I wanted to submit a question or two. It says, by the way, on page 299, I like the last part of your current and emerging issues when you said you're really looking at how to streamline and work with and share with other departments. I appreciate that. And thank you, by the way, for you and your staff working with our office. So we appreciate that. So I want to just push a little bit on the pretrial and the jail unit over there. We went on a tour over and we talked a little bit about it in the past. And so it's my understanding that the specialist, the pretrial specialist, costs a little bit less than the correction officer's positions. And there might be some overall savings possible, but you'd have to slightly augment the DOC classifications, I think. And we've talked a little bit about them in the past, maybe we haven't in committee. You don't have to answer today. But what I do need to know, Stacy, how much does the pretrial 24/7 jail unit cost over there for you? And then Ed, how much would it cost to augment that classification unit so you could perform those duties over there? And then Jeff, we probably should have considered the options. And I know, in the past that people wanted a neutral non-law enforcement, but I'm not sure if that's the right rationale or good enough reason to do it. So that's something that should be considered. And then just a couple of quick questions. I know you mentioned a little bit, Stace, of your assistance in preventing the jail overnight crowding, and back in the bail issue in the city of San Jose County Committee, we talked about keeping restoring that overnight function. I think we closed from 1 to 5 or 2 to 6 or whatever it is right now. We want to come back with what would it look like to restore that, what the cost would be, because I know the board cut that some years ago. And then, I know, Stacey, we talked a little bit about the risk assessment instrument that hadn't been modernized and hadn't been looked at since I think you began a pretty long time ago. And, other departments kind of continuously looking at all their instruments. We should probably look at your instrument. It hasn't been updated in such a long time. And then the last referral, Mr. President, would be to, send, I think Harvey has looked at the mandate portion of the department, but we've never had an audit of this department, 40 years of existence. And that's no reflection on any of the workers in the department, but it just hasn't been looked at. So I'd like to refer that to FGOC to consider that or not. It's just been a long time, and so it's due. And again, thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other supervisors wanting questions and no one from the public, thank you very much. Now we move on to item 45, which is the recommended budget for the Department of Corrections. And